one. Go.
Assalamualaikum and greetings to our listeners. You are now tuning into a special podcast titled Viral or Violating TikTok Culture and Controversy. I'm Nasuha, your moderator for today's episode. In this session, we will explore the powerful impact of new media, specifically TikTok, on modern society. TikTok has grown from a fun entertainment app into a major tool for marketing, education, and public influence. And one of the most talked about TikTok personality in Malaysia is Dato Alif Shukri, a businessman known not only for his products but for his viral and often controversial videos. So today we will dive into three main themes. First, the role of TikTok in shaping society. Second, how TikTok connects to globalization. And three, the difference in how TikTok is used in Malaysia and Indonesia. So joining me today are three insightful panelists. For the first one, Miss Najwa, influencers marketing specialist, who will explore how TikTok influences society through content like Ali Shukri's. And secondly, Mr. Izzat, a marketing executive who will look at how TikTok supports globalization and the ethical issues it brings. And lastly, Ms. Rauda, a media literacy advocate who will compare how TikTok is used in Malaysia versus Indonesia. So, but before we begin, let's start with a quick icebreaker. What one TikTok video by Dato Ali Shukri that shocked or surprised you the most?
Okay, so for me, I think the one that shocked me the most is when Dato Ali Shukri actually fart during the live TikTok, but he accused Amar, his son, to that actually fart. That
That's a
is so
new
funny to
video,
me.
right? The latest
Yes,
one.
the
Yes,
instant
that's
one.
so yeah.
Mm,
And
Mine would be the one when he asked his son to sell his product in one of the live snippets video, as if he can't sell his own product to begin with.
yeah, that's a good video too.
Yeah. For me, the video about Dato' Shukri's broken mask during COVID-19. Yeah.
Yeah. What all video but still new
Yes.
that so let's begin with Miss Najwa. So, in today's Malaysian society, how has TikTok as a form of new media changed the way people receive information and form opinions?
Okay, thank you, Miss Naswa. That actually a great questions because I believe new media, especially apps like TikTok, have really changed how Malaysian actually receive and react to a certain information. Unlike traditional media like newspaper or TV, new media is actually fast, fun to use, and always accessible. On TikTok, people share news and opinions using short video with music, text, and effect. This makes the content easier to understand, but also more emotional and dramatic. Before this, people waited for official news. Now we just scroll and get update instantly. TikTok doesn't just give us information, but it also change how we think. The way the video are made with the special edits and sounds can actually make people feel strong emotions. Even if they don't know the full story, they can judge you. They can feel the actual emotion for that particular person. So this can cause people to form opinions quickly, sometimes based on feelings instead of fact. So yes, TikTok as a part of new media plays a big role in shaping how people think today. Yes, that's my answer.
Sorry. Thank you, Najwa, for that clear insight. How TikTok has changed the way Malaysians receive information and from opinions. In short, it has made news faster and more engaging, but also more emotional and sometimes less factual. All right, let's move on to our next question for Mr. Izzat. Now
Yes.
let's move into the global aspect. So, Mr. Izzat, how does TikTok allow content from Malaysia like Alif Shukri's video to go viral internationally, especially in countries like Indonesia?
Uh, Absolutely. TikTok's algorithm is borderless by design, prioritizing engagement and relatability over geography. So, when a creator like Ali Shukri posts content that resonates strongly in Malaysia, the algorithm detects that in high engagement, likes, shares, watch time, and starts pushing it to similar audience abroad. Indonesia is a neighboring market because of the shared language roots. Malay and Indonesian are mutually intelligible, and cultural touchpoints from humor to social commentary. But there's a network effect at play. Malaysia and Indonesia users follow and interact with each other's content regularly. So, TikTok algorithms treats them as interconnected community. Once a video trends in KL, it's just a scroll away from going viral in Jakarta. That's my answer for your question.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Izzat. That was a very interesting explanation on how TikTok borderless algorithm can help Malaysian content go viral in Indonesia.
Hmm.
With that, I'd like to move on to Miss Rauda to hear more about how TikTok use difference between these two countries. So, Miss Rauda,
Yes.
based on your observation, what are the key differences between how Malaysians and Indonesian use TikTok?
Okay, thank you for your question, Ms. Nasuha. Based on my observation, one of the key differences between how Malaysian and Indonesian use TikTok lies in their content preference, user engagement style, and also cultural expression. Malaysian tends to focus more on lifestyle-related content, including food reviews, educational skits, fashion, and light-hearted humor that often reflects Malaysia's multicultural society. And the humor is usually subtle, relatable, and sometimes mixed with local dialects or languages such as Malay, Mandarin, or Tamil. Okay. In contrast, Indonesians are more expressive and bold in their TikTok usage. And they often use the platform for dance trends, music covers, dramatic storytelling, and social commentary. Their content is more theatrical, emotionally charged, and sometimes spiritual or religious in nature, which resonates deeply with their local audience. Moreover, Indonesians tend to have a higher engagement rate through challenges and duet features, while Malaysians may prefer scrolling and viewing rather than active interaction. Another notable difference is the way both nations use TikTok to amplify local issues. In Indonesia, users are more vocal and willing to challenge norms. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, creators might be more cautious due to strict regulations and also social expectations. And these differences reflect the distinct cultural identities and also digital behaviors of each nation.
Hmm. What a great explanation, Ms. Rhoda, for highlighting those cultural and behavioral differences between Malaysian and Indonesian TikTok users. Now, let's move to our second question, which looks at how influence like Dato' Ali Shukri can impact public perception and behavior. So, Ms. Najwa, we're going back to you.
All right.
So, the question is, how do you think TikTok content from influencers like Dato' Alif Shukri affects public perception and behavior?
All right. Thank you, Miss Nasuha. That's an interesting question. Influencer like Dato Alif Shukri actually are very skilled at using new media, especially a platform like TikTok and Instagram. He understands how to get people attention by creating content that is dramatic, emotional, and sometimes even controversial. He often shares the video that are bold or shocking because he know that this type of content will actually get people talking. When people share or comment on his video, they spread quickly. This is what we call going viral. On one short video can actually become a big topic all over the country. That's the strong influence of the new media today. Because of this, Dato Ali Shukri content can really shape the way of people thinking, speak and behave. Many viewers, especially young audience, start to copy the way he talks, the way he drives, and the way he acts. Some even repeat his catchphrases or jokes, or even if they are offensive or hurts other people's feeling. This shows that in today's digital world, in today's society, getting likes, share, and views can actually sometimes seem more important than being kind or respectful towards other people. What's more worrying today is this kind of content set a certain example when young people see that being loud, dramatic, or disrespectful get more attention. They might start to think that this is the best way to become popular online. We can get popular instantly if we do that, this kind of drama. So it teach them that being viral is more important than being responsible. That's why it is more important to think carefully about the kind messages that what we as an influencer are sending to other people, and how those messages can actually affect our followers and our society as a whole. So that is actually my answer, Miss Nasuha.
That was an important reminder that going viral doesn't always mean positive influence, right? And
True.
especially if it normalizes harmful behaviors. Okay, let's continue now with the question about ethical challenge when content crosses cultural and national border. So, Mr. Izzat, this question is for you. What ethical challenge arise when content crosses national and cultural boundaries?
So, this is where things get interesting. When content crosses borders, I felt at least, but cultural context doesn't, we left with a minefield of ethical dilemmas. There are three challenges that comes into this kind of conflict. The first one is the context collapse problem, which is a joke or a stance that socially acceptable in Malaysia might land horribly in Indonesia or vice versa, because the norms around religion, gender, and politics aren't universal. But TikTok algorithm doesn't flag this, it amplifies it. Creators often don't realize their content is being judged by a foreign audience until the backlash hits. Second one is accountability on who's going to be responsible when content offends abroad. The content creator, the platform. Right now, it's a gray area. A Malaysia influencer might say, I didn't make this for Indonesia, but the platform profits from pushing it there anyway. Meanwhile, communities harmed by the stereotypes and or misinformation have little recourse. So there's gonna be a bit problem when it comes to into misinformation, especially that no one's wanna be accountable for their own mistakes, or maybe. The third one is commodification of culture, which is viral trends often borrow or appropriate culture elements like dancing slangs or traditions without attribution or understanding. When they cross borders, they can strip away the meaning or reduce sacred practices to content. Like nowadays, we see a lot of content, it just simply do it for the viral and for the views. But the algorithm rewards this remix culture, so the cycle continues. That is my answer for your question, Miss Naswa.
Uh, Thank you for breaking down those important ethical channels when content goes beyond cultural boundaries.
Mm.
It's definitely something we need to be more aware of now.
Mm.
So let's look at how audience in both country respond to commercial or viral content. So, Miss Rauda, when it comes to viral or controversial content, do audiences in both countries respond differently?
Alright. Do audience in both countries respond differently?
Yeah.
Oh yes, audiences in Malaysia and Indonesia often respond differently to viral or controversial content, largely due to differences in cultural norms, media freedom, and social expectations. In Malaysia, controversial content is usually met with a mix of humor and criticism, but there is a clear boundary that when you cross that, you can trigger public backlash or even government interventions. Malaysians are generally quick to critique content that is seen as disrespectful to religion, our royalty, or traditional values. Or many users often use the comment section to express disapproval or call for accountability. On the other hand, Indonesians are more emotionally expressive and reactive when it comes to controversial topics. They often flood comment sections with passionate responses, hashtag or collective movements, either supporting or boycotting a particular figure. However, the Indonesian audience may also be more forgiving over time, especially if the controversy leads to open discussion for apologies. Religion also plays a strong role in both countries, but Indonesian users tend to integrate religious values more directly in their critique. Overall, while both audiences are active and opinionated, Malaysians are more restrained and cautious. Meanwhile, Indonesians tend to be louder, more expressive, and community driven in their responses to any viral or any controversial content that they saw. So that's my opinion for your question, Ms. Nasuha.
Thank you, Miss Rauda. That was very insightful. These different audience reaction really reflect the unique cultural norms and values in our region. So let's now move to our third question, which look at the overall impact of TikTok or on our values and social norms. So, Miss Najwa, do you think TikTok as a form of new media has more positive or negative impact on our values and social norms?
All right, Miss Rauda. It's actually a very hard question for me to answer, but here is my answer. So I think TikTok and the other new media platform are actually have a good and bad impact. On the good side, the new media give people a voice. You don't need to be rich or famous just to share your thoughts. You can be anybody and you can post and you can be heard, especially those from a smaller communities or younger people who wants to speak up. TikTok is also great for learning new things, spreading awareness, and even starting a small business. But at the same time, new media also spread negative content very quickly. People can make jokes about a serious issue or post harmful opinions for other people just to get attention that can damage our social value. They respect kindness, like respect, kindness, and empathy. When this video goes viral, people start to think that this kind of behavior is actually okay or even funny. That's how our social norms slowly change, sometimes in a bad way, but most of the time, I will say it's a bad. So, in my opinion, new media like TikTok can be very powerful, but we need to be smart. We should think before we post or share something. We should ask, is this kind? Is this a good content? Is this true? Is this helping others people? Because what we support online actually will shape the kind of society that we will live in tomorrow. So that's my answer, Miss Nasuha. Thank you for
What?
asking that questions.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's what a great answer to Miss Najwa for such a balanced view on the positive and negative effects of TikTok on society.
Hmm.
It really reminds us to think before we post or share, right?
Mm-hmm.
So finally,
Exactly.
let's discuss whether influencers should adjust their content to respect sensitivities in other countries. So, Mr. Izzat,
Definitely.
this is question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think influencers like Alif Shukri
Mm-hmm.
should consider foreign cultural sensitivities when producing TikTok content?
Definitely, but there's always a catch. If you are a creator like Ali Shukri whose content regularly crosses border, you're no longer just speaking for your local audience, whether you would like it or not. TikTok algorithm has drafted you into global culture wars. So while no one expects influencers to be diplomats, There's a growing ethical and sometimes strategical responsibility to at least acknowledge the cultural lines you're crossing. That said, the burden should fall solely on creators. TikTok knows exactly where content spreads and how it's received. If they can use AI to recommend videos across 200 markets, they could certainly flag potential cultural flashpoints for creators before posting. But that will require prioritizing cultural safety over virality, and we all know which one pays the bills. At the end of the day, cultural sensitivity isn't about self censorship, it's about understanding that in a borderless digital world, your words and actions have unintended audience, and those audience have every right to react. That's my answer to your question, Miss Nasra.
Thank you, Mr. Izzat. That was a very practical and forward-thinking perspective into this broader digital world. Cultural awareness is no longer optional but essential. With that, we have covered some very relevant and important points today. So, my last question for the podcast today, to Miss Rauda. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Miss Rauda, should content creators like Alif Shukri adjust their TikTok strategies to suit the values or sensitivities of different countries?
Alright, so that's the final question, but an important one, I guess. Should content creators like Dato Ali Shukri adjust their TikTok strategies to suit the values or sensitivities of different countries? Yes, it is crucial for content creators like Dato Ali Shukri to adjust their TikTok strategies when targeting audience from different countries, especially from any drivers regions like Southeast Asia, and every country has its own set of cultural sensitivities, religious values, and also social expectation. And when you're failing to respect these differences, it can lead to public outrage. It can damage your reputation and even platform restrictions. For instance, while Dato Alif Shukri's bold, dramatic, and often controversial content may attract attention in Malaysia, but using the same approach in Indonesia without understanding the local sentiment could be a little bit risky. And Indonesian audiences may interpret his action differently, especially if they involve about religion, morality, or traditional norms. Therefore, content should be localized, not only in language but also in tone, messaging, and emotional appeal. This includes collaborating with local influencers, incorporating relevant cultural reference, and being aware of what is considered acceptable or offensive in each country. Moreover, creators should remain mindful of the rapidly changing online sentiments, as TikTok users are highly reactive and can easily shift from admiring to criticism. And adjusting strategies based on audience behavior shows cultural intelligence and respect, which it can help creators like Dato Ali Shukri grow a more loyal and sustainable international following without compromising their brand identity. Yeah, so that is my answer for the last question.
Thank you, Miss Rauda. So we can see at here that content creators like Alif Shukri to adjust their TikTok strategies when targeting audience from different countries. Okay. What a great answer to Miss Rhoda. And yeah, thank you to all panelists for your thoughtful sharing. From today's discussion, it's clear that TikTok is a powerful tool, but one that must be used responsibly. So Ya Allah, Dato Alif Shukri has mastered the art of going viral on TikTok. But we must ask, at what cost do viral moments reflect creativity and influence, or are they simply pushing the limits of ethics for attention? Hmm. As TikTok users and consumers, we have the power to shape the digital environment. Every view, every like, and every share sends a message. So here's something to think about. To all my viewers, Are we supporting content that helps society grow or content that just shocks us for a moment? So thank you again for joining us on Viral or Violating. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok and Spotify and share your thoughts with us. Bye!
Thank you for
Bye.
inviting me, Miss Asuha.
Yes, thank you.